Craig, we often look back to the previous game. You've had a few days now to reflect on it. Disappointing in some ways, going 2-0 down and then coming back and winning 6-2. Where you sit now, ahead of the Caernarfon Town game, what are your thoughts looking back?
Yeah, I think it was probably exactly how we're seeing it on the day. Probably it's going to be escalated a little bit on the day because obviously you're in the moment. The heat of the game being such a big game, and I think probably off the back of a disappointing result at Airdrie, and yeah, obviously the heat of the moment, it was the players knew it wasn't acceptable. Us as staff knew it wasn't acceptable, and the first people, certainly from myself, the first thing I do is look at it and go, what could I have done better? How could we have done better? I know the staff do, and I know the players do. So it's reflective. We've had a lot of reflection over the last 2 or 3 days, and we weren't a million miles away from where we thought on the day, in what was said on the day. Obviously, like I said, it's just a little bit more elevated when you the heat the moment, and it's happening at that moment in time. Like you said, we're coming half time, and there's some harsh words and a bit of a bit of reality, a bit of truth, which is nothing wrong with that. We're professional. It wasn't personal. It was it was all to try and make the team perform better. The players know that, they understand that, and they just as much as anything, they were getting around each other as well, and and telling a few, I hate to say home truths, but just be honest with each other about the performance, and that was and that's reflective of such a good team, team morale, and that we've got.
And after 4 games away from Park Hall on the bounce, we are back here tomorrow evening. Does that give any sort of advantage, do you feel, to the players and staff when we're at home as opposed to being on the road?
Yeah, you would definitely say so. But if you look at it factually, we've got exactly the same record at home as what we have away. We've dropped 2 points at home to Barrytown, and then we've dropped 2 points away from home to Ballatown. So you look at it from a stats point of view, you would argue no, it doesn't, but I think it certainly does. We obviously we train on the pitch every day. The pitch suits us. We've had a fantastic record at home for a long time. You're talking 10, 12, 13, even 15 years looking back. The club historically have had a really good record at home. Even in Europe, we've done okay here in Europe as well. So yeah, it is, and we have done a lot of travelling. I think it's quite easy just to go out. The professionals get on with it, but it does take a lot out of you, mentally and physically. So yeah, we're more than happy to have our next 4 games, 3 of them to be at home. So even if it's just for the travel alone.
We do have an excellent form book against Caernarfon Town. We've won 10 on the bounce now. But along the way, we've had a few scares. They've taken the lead. We have scored late goals. They'll certainly be fired up. They're having a good season so far, aren't they?
Yeah, they're doing really well. Rich is doing really well with them. I think probably everybody, or a lot of people probably expected them to maybe struggle. Obviously, Hugh, experienced manager, leaves, and some players leave, and but Rich has done fantastic. He's galvanised them. He's a local lad who understands the club, understands what's happening there. He's got all the players are playing from. They're giving everything they've got, and they've also got quality mixed in with that as well. So I really don't think we can't take them lightly. You look at it here. Was it 6-7 weeks ago when I think we won 3-1. But we scored 2 late goals. I think it was, if I'm correctly, it was a Chris Marriott 25-yarder to go 2-1 up, and then we scored later on again. So they're a very dangerous team on the counter attack. They're very offensive. They've got, like I said, some really talented players, good pace, good mobility. So yeah, it's we certainly won't be taking them lightly.
It seems to be a recurring question. You don't make many changes from one game to the next. Will that be the same pattern this time round?
Yeah, it'll be the same answer, Rev. You know what I'm going to say. Yeah, we'll pick the best team available for the day to try and win the game. We've obviously got 3 games in a 9-day period coming up at the end of the season, so that will just naturally have its effect on some players, and I'd imagine some players won't be to play the whole 3 of them games, but that's what we've got a strong squad for. Every one of our players in our first team squad can play on any given day in any competition against any opposition. So yeah, that's the strength of the squad. So yeah, we'll be certainly tomorrow and Tuesday we'll be going as strong as what we can for the games, and then we'll see how that develops. With the third game in 9 days, and but still, again, everyone wants to play because there's a cup final coming up. If I do change it, they'll, whether it's changing for a rotation sake or resting or whatever that may be, there'll be, certainly players will be knocking on my door asking, because obviously we're 3 weeks away from a cup final in the Welsh Cup final against a team that for the last probably 6 or 7 years has been, our closest rival. So, and a great occasion at Newport. So yeah, it's again, it's always tough. Toughest part of my job. Easiest part is the week leading up to it, the actual game. But the toughest part is actually telling the boys, the team, and and having conversations with players that aren't in the team.
And both Brad Young and Declan McManus started last weekend. They scored 5 of the 6 goals. Will they both be starting this time around, or do we have to wait and see?
Again, it's they've obviously given me a even more headache. And look, the plan has always been to try and get them in the team together. It's just unfortunately come to the end of the season. We've had a lot of games. We've not had an awful lot of time to work on it on the training pitch. I don't really want to just throw people in willy nilly and and just say go and play in ad hoc. We like to work on things in training, and we like to make sure we've got all the in possession, out of possession, on transitions, all that boxed off before we go and play a different formation, or before we go and throw players into a formation that they're not used to. So we haven't really, with the games thick and fast, we haven't had the opportunity to work on things on the training ground as much as what we would like, but we managed to last week. And obviously the working together in scoring 5 goals is it's a huge feat for the two of them, and no doubt both of them will be ready to go tomorrow night, and hopefully they can get another 5 between them.
And what's the injury situation like as you select the starting 11?
Yeah, we've had 1 or 2 little niggles. Like I said, Ryan Brobbles touch and go, Josh Pasca's touch and go. So apart from that, we're okay. It's the same as Jordan Marshall's back in completely 100%. So we've got Jordan back into the squad. So apart from that, we're good. I think we might have a full squad again. Take away Ryan on Friday. We definitely will on Thursday and Saturday. And obviously Ash Baker's been out a little bit because his wife is they've had a little baby. They had one 2 days ago. They had a little boy, so they're both healthy, which is good. And Ash is back in the squad now.